Okay, welcome to the second part of the 1950s. This part is going to be pretty fun. It's all about music, but you are going to, in rock and roll and teenagers and rebellion, but you are going to need to go back and forth with YouTube. So you will have 10 points available, but again, you will need to watch some other videos and do that yourself because Panopto cannot record that very easily. So we're going to continue with the thesis. The 1950s were like a picnic on top of a bomb shelter, and then the ground caved in. So we've talked a lot about the bomb shelter, meaning communism and the fears, and then the ground caving in is just all the rebellion that happened. And this lecture is definitely part of that. So last time we talked about the 3 C's and how everybody was involved with consumerism, consensus, and conservatism, and then different things for questioning and pushing boundaries. It was scary out there. There was a lot going on, such as the Cold War. Today, again, we're going to focus on teenagers and rock and roll. So far as teenagers go, we had a lot of rebellious movies coming out, and they are going to seem really silly to you, but these were traumatic and terrifying to people. So I believe it was 1953, Marlon Brando came out with The Wild One. And, you know, usually stars, if you're a big fan of 1930s and 1940s movies, they wear suits. All the gentlemen wear suits. You know, Cary Grant and was my favorite, and, you know, Rock Hudson and, you know, Clark Gable, they all wear suits. But now Marlon Brando is going to come out with this leather jacket, and he's on this motorcycle. And the people that did the movie were actually required to have this warning saying, you know, this is how we can make sure this doesn't happen in, you know, your town. So I really recommend watching the trailers for these. They're really interesting. Another one that you probably are familiar with is James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause. Again, he's not wearing a suit. He's got his jeans on, his jacket, and, you know, just teenagers questioning things. I mean, you just didn't see that in 1930s, 1940s movies. Blackboard Jungle is a teacher going into this dangerous area. I guess he brings his jazz records, and one of the students breaks them, and, you know, there's a fight and assault, and you can see the quote down below: the school of the Blackboard Jungle was their hunting ground, the teachers their prey. So again, just even watching the trailer of this, I think you kind of get a laugh out of it. But again, people were scared of what was happening with the teenagers. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit more of an extensive lecture on rock and roll. And I'm going to need you to, you know, follow through. And again, like I said, have you listen to some music, then we'll be answering some questions. So the big question is, were African American artists ripped off, or were these cover versions understandable within the context of music business practices of the day? So obviously we automatically say, oh, they were ripped off, but I need to explain a bit more of the context, and maybe it'll be a bit more understandable. It's still not okay. A lot of African Americans lost a lot of money and didn't get the credit, absolutely, that they didn't deserve. But hopefully this lecture will provide some context, which is the purpose of history, right? Okay, so music used to be separate according to regional, racial, and economic lines. So, for example, pop music, you know, who would it appeal to down below? It would appeal to white middle class. Country and Western appealed to lower income and Southern white, and rhythm and blues appealed to lower income and African American. So they had different record companies that specifically appealed to these groups, and really they didn't overlap. Now, we're going to see some of the overlapping coming with rock and roll. So how music was sold and distributed was a place called Tin Pan Alley, and it was in New York, and this is where all the music writers would write. And then what you would do is you'd buy sheet music, you'd go to a store, and writers sold the same song to different artists. So if I wanted to buy some music, I would go to the piano store, the music store, and somebody would sit down and play it for me, or I could play it, and then I would get to take it home, and obviously I could play it however I wanted to, but this was pretty standard practice. Now, pop music, again, you see the white middle class was for the entire family. And what I need you to do is right now go to YouTube and watch a portion of, this one's important, Les Paul and Mary Ford, I'm Sitting on Top of the World. So in order to understand this lesson, it's extremely important for you to listen to what white middle class was listening to. Okay, so go ahead and do that. All right, now rhythm and blues and country and western were promoted by individual labels. Again, they really didn't cross over. And rock and roll grew with the help of, well, individual labels like Sun Records that helped with the careers of Elvis Presley. Also with teenagers. We're very involved in the help with rock and roll. Transistor radios. You didn't have to go. Remember with the FDR fireside chat, the whole family went into the living room and listened all together. Well, here's a transistor radio. You could put it in your pocket and listen to what kind of music you wanted to. So that would be the teenagers. Again, it was very unusual. Like when you guys say, oh, I'm going to go buy a TV or, a radio, that, wasn't that TV you wouldn't buy, but a radio, maybe you could buy your own radio. Also with DJs, they definitely helped with the growing. And unfortunately, there was something called payola, where if you wanted to get your record distributed, you'd have to pay these DJs. A little bit of corruption, a lot of corruption going on, which they actually got in trouble for. So R&B was frightening because it was very much this hokum or double meaning about sex. So African Americans did not have a problem with this at all, but those white middle class families, they really did. So something like 60-minute man, meaning you can have sex for 60 minutes. Work with Me Annie. You just take a look at some of these, and again, these are not the most sexual. Yeah, so it gets, yeah. Anyways, so what we're going to be doing is you're going to be creating a chart, and I do have a copy on the next slide, plus I have it available on Blackboard. Remember, you are responsible for making sure I can open it. If I can't open it, I cannot give you credit, and there's so many of you guys, I just need to give you 0. So please make sure I can open it. I can't write everybody and say, oh, I can't open Google Docs. I've been telling you that all semester. So it'll just be a 0 if I can't open it. Or another option is just to type it out. So there's going to be a category in the bottom, additional comments, and I need you to use that space to say any points you learned from lecture or from the videos to prove you're participating. You have to have points that I would know that you actually listen to these songs, okay, and are listening to the lecture. So here is the chart. It will be available to you. If you feel like you can take a picture and you know that I will get it, then that's fine. But again, we're going to be really near the end of our time together. So I cannot chase you down. Okay, there we go. So what I need you to do first is to go to YouTube and watch a portion of Big Joe Turner, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, 1954. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And then when you come back, I will tell you some more about it. Okay, so with Big Joe Turner, he had the song, again, like you can see, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. And again, this is a college class, so it's going to be pretty sexual. But take a look at what he's saying. I get over the hill and way down underneath. I get over the hill and way down underneath. You make me roll my eyes, even make me grit my teeth. So he is very much talking about sex. So are white people going to listen to this? No. That was, too sexual for them. It just was too much. Whereas African Americans, it would not be a problem at all. So what I need you to do is fill this out as what kind of music it is. It's definitely not pop, right? And then go ahead, and with style, that basically means, it's not really rock and roll yet, right? So we're not quite there yet. But what of the above would it be? And remember, even white middle-class teens are not going to be, they're going to be a little scared at this point. And then anything else that you've learned. Okay, so now what I need you to do is go to YouTube and watch a portion of Bill Haley's Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Please notice what color they are. They're white, right? And listen to what he says in the very beginning of the song. Yeah, pretty interesting. Okay, so this is how he changed it. Wearing those dresses, your hair done up so nice, wearing those dresses, you look so warm, but your heart is cold as ice. Does he mention sex in it? No. So that would be played. And, was that not, was that cheating that he took this song? I'm sure that Big Joe Turner did not appreciate this very much, but a lot of times African Americans would sell their rights because they weren't sure if they were going to make money otherwise. And so it was, kind of legal. I'm not sure if it was that ethical, but he did definitely change the words using the exact same music. And notice in the video he did say, that this song has made him, well off or whatever, which he took credit for it, which I don't think is very nice. Okay, so go ahead and fill that out. Now, the next one is the same guys. It's not just a repeat. I didn't make a mistake here. There's another song called Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley, and I want you to listen to that. Now, let me tell you a little bit about it. This is the first time that we have a rock and roll soundtrack to a movie. So remember Blackboard Jungle? They played Rock Around the Clock with that. And what happened during its release is that teenagers literally rioted in the theaters. They went absolutely crazy. So, that again would be probably pretty scary to parents. Now, go ahead and listen to it, and then you're going to answer these questions again. And what is kind of interesting is Rock Around the Clock could also be Have Sex Around the Clock. But, what was it that made it, a little bit more appealing to the parents? Was it obvious that it's, having sex? It's kind of that bebop and that they're, white, whatever. They got away with stuff. They just got away with it. Okay, the next one is Fats Domino, Ain't That a Shame? Just love this. Now, please know that Fats Domino was also seen as almost like a country western also, and which was, not scary. And plus just his presentation, would he be scary? So go ahead and watch that. And then go ahead and fill this out. Now, he was a little more acceptable to whites. He was actually very acceptable, but he's kind of like a big teddy bear, right? He's not, he's approachable. Okay, now we go to Chuck Berry. And what I'd love for you to do is listen and, does he sound, rhythm and blues? He's starting to get into maybe pop and rock and roll. A lot of people thought he was white. And also notice that what his subject matter is. It's teenagers. Now, there's going to be a problem with him with teenagers. Later on, he gets in trouble, actually, for being a little too friendly with teenagers. But his songs are, very, they're not scary to people. So, Johnny Be Good. So, here's the chart to fill that out. Okay, now what I want you to do is go and listen to Little Richard, Good Golly, Miss Molly, and see, what you think of that, if that would be scary. And then take a look at some of the lyrics. Good golly, Miss Molly sure like to ball. So yeah, that's sex. So he's talking about sex. So, would that be scary to white parents? All right, and then you can go ahead with this. And there's some really fun, videos of these guys. So Tutti Frutti, same thing. Go ahead and fill this out, and just know that he talks about Sue and what she liked to do. So what she likes to do. So I think with Little Richard, it seems more sexual, but then what's going to happen is we're going to get to Pat Boone. And again, listen to what the radio announcer says. He doesn't give credit to Little Richard at all. And of course, that made Little Richard furious because Little Richard's the creator of that song. But Pat Boone actually felt that he was doing Little Richard a favor by covering his song. Don't think Little Richard got any money from it, which again made him pretty mad. But when you watch the video, see when he says what Sue liked to do, it's like in this video, it's like she likes to sip sodas and dance around or something. It's nothing sexual. So again, that got a lot more play. Okay, now we all know Elvis, so I've chose something that's pretty fun, and it's more about his girlfriends. It's just kind of hilarious. But Elvis is going to be one of the first artists that goes up all three charts at once: country, rhythm and blues, and pop. So rock and roll. But yes, he was scared of parents. Remember, with Ed Sullivan, he did finally have Elvis on a show, but he wouldn't show Elvis from the waist down because Elvis did this kind of pelvic thrust stuff that was terrifying to parents still. Okay, now go to Carl Perkins, and you might be surprised about this song. All right, and if you listen to him too, you might even think he's African American. So Carl Perkins was one of whites that grew up in sharecropping. There were some whites that grew up in sharecropping. You remember that from a while ago. But unfortunately, he got in a big accident on the way to one of his concerts, and it really threw his career backward. But yeah, so Elvis was able to kind of go ahead of him. But take a look at that. All right, now take a look, listen to Jerry Lee Lewis. Whole lot of shaking going on. And this is, rock. Please note, parents would be terrified of this, I think. Go ahead and fill that out. And he's also going to be going up all the different charts. Now, the big mistake Jerry Lee Lewis made is he did marry his 13-year-old cousin and became his wife. So that made him go down, plummet in his popularity. I actually got to hear him when I worked at a hotel in Manhattan Beach in the 80s. So that was exciting for me, but probably not great for him, right? Because he could have been the next Elvis. He's really talented. Okay, then lastly, we'll be doing Buddy Holly, and again, try to figure out what kind of music that is. You're probably familiar with what happened to Buddy Holly, maybe not. Let me just get there. Okay, so let me tell you in a minute what happened with him. But what your assignment is 1 through 10. Just you don't have to put the numbers. So I'll give you 10 points if you do this. Copy your answers to, oh, it should be 5. I want you to do all of them. Sorry, that was a mistake. Do all of the artists. Please create the list exactly so that I may more easily grade these. Again, these can be very short, yes or no. Chart a list would be most helpful. Thank you. Again, if you send a picture, you're responsible to make sure I can open it. No Google Docs ever, no time for redos. Okay, so just to let you know, American rock and roll. So Little Richard actually becomes a minister. Elvis joins the army. Jerry Lee Lewis scandal damages his career. Remember I told you about Chuck Berry and his issue with teenagers. He's arrested for transporting a minor across state lines. And then probably, as you know, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper all die in a plane crash. So that also is a mistake. Normally in my class, we could do this whole thing on teen idols. Yeah, unfortunately we can't. But anyways, yeah, that's a really fun topic. That's fun. Okay, so next time we will be talking about little heroes and big heroes, and just want to thank everybody for doing this with me. And thanks for going back and forth on YouTube, and hopefully you get that big 10 points.